Last time I gave you some weird ideas. Pimp, Mommy Baroness, Laird Destro, Dreadnought motorcycles, and more. I asked you to give me ideas of weird ideas, and I would make a video, and that's what we're doing here. So these are your weird ideas. I'm going to rank your weird ideas. Let's get to it. All right, so thanks for responding. I got a bunch of different ideas here, and I can't obviously talk about all of them because that would be a very long video. Some of yours were more deep cuts that I've talked about in other videos. A deep cut that came up many times is everybody wants, and Hasbro should listen and like really start thinking about, because we're seeing Hasbro do more and more of the cartoon, that there's just as many of us that want deep cuts from the comic book rather than the cartoon, or along with the cartoon, I should say. If you're going to give us Cold Slither in a 4-pack, you can also give us a 3-pack of the Long Range Recon Patrol Stalker, Storm Shadow, and Snake Eyes Vietnam era. All right, Snake Eyes should have a little picture of his twin sister in his little hat, and somehow you gotta obscure his face, I guess. We all want that. That has come up so many times, so that's a deep cut. And listen to the people. You also gave me a couple of tweaks on the ideas that I think are worth mentioning here, and a couple of tweaks on the ideas that I brought up last week. For instance, and this was genius, I don't know why I didn't think about that. You got to give us that Dreadnought motorcycle. If you're going to give us a Dreadnought motorcycle, then include chocolate donuts and little grape soda. That would be awesome. We definitely need a pack. If you got Dreadnoughts, we need the grape soda and chocolate donuts. Hopefully, one of these next Dreadnought rounds will have that. First, for weird ideas, and this is a classic this is a pretty great one, I think, is celebrity G.I. Joes. We need more celebrities in G.I. Joe, and I know what you're thinking. Most celebrities now are terrible, so I don't want any of these new celebrities here. But this is a good idea, okay? Johnny Lawrence, for Cobra Johnny Lawrence. Come on. Cobra Kai, Cobra Johnny Lawrence. It just makes sense. It makes sense to me. Have him join, hang out with the Dreadnoughts. That would be awesome. It's just like right after Cobra Kai show ends, he says, fuck it. He goes bad. He breaks bad. He joins Cobra. I'm down for that. And then also the same person said here, Cobra John Kreese. And now we make him, he's replaced Big Boa and sent to open a karate school to identify and train prospective Cobra recruits. Yes. Kreese in Cobra would be hilarious. And it would be awesome because, like if you watch Cobra Kai, they're always like trying to make the world, they make it sound like they have this insidious plan that's going to like change the world, but they're just like all they're worried about is like a karate tournament in like the valley, so finally Kreese would have like some impact. He'd be a terrorist. That would make some sense, and I would like to see that. And that is a weird idea. Okay, that's a really weird idea. Okay, here's a really good idea here, and this is that we would vote, allowing fans to vote, putting out a vote of one of the unproduced figures. So you lay out a whole slew of unproduced figures. There's tons of these unproduced figures in the line. Some, there's the manimal things that turn into animals and the chest bursters. There's a Rocky Balboa, of course. There's, Raw Beef, who's this like, guy that uses spiders. There's a bunch of weird unproduced characters. Get us to vote on which one from that series and then produce that character. I think that's an awesome win. I think it's a good promotional thing, good way to engage with the fandom, which is, rabid and interested and engaging. So really good idea. Okay, here we go. Here's a weird one. Special Missions 24, Zorana in a New York Mites baseball uniform. And a Cobra this would be a Firefly poison gas hot dog vendor. Yeah, so I don't know if you know this, but there's a comic book issue, Special Missions, and it has all the G.I. Joe girls. It's like one of the only issues Larry Hama didn't write. It's a terrible it's one of the worst things. That it's like the one time he just took a week off. I'm not writing this crap. Somebody else stepped in, and it's terrible. And it's got all the girls dress up in like Rockettes uniforms. They get all kind of sexed up. And then, but the king of this moment is Firefly is hiding as a hot dog vendor, and he throws explosive hot dogs at people. So, okay, we get a weird idea. This was weird. G.I. Joe from the episode where they go to the orphanage. So this is like their little cartoonish children, and everything has goofy proportions, and that would be a weird. That's like a Super 7 idea. It could be kind of cool. I don't know if I really want it, but it's worth mentioning because it's weird. Oh, okay, so this was brought up. Johnny T16 brought up the idea that so I had come up with the concept of let's give Destro, Laird Destro, let's give him a dog. He needs an animal companion. Make it an Irish wolfhound, or like somebody mentioned, there's Irish wolfhound, like one of those giant ass dogs. And what's his name? Highlander. Amazing name. Perfect name. Yes, name him Highlander. Just, it's a great reference because I always love that, Destro is Scottish, and in the cartoon, he's certainly not Scottish. He's black, voice-wise anyway, and he's he is. And then in the movie Highlander 2, there's always the greatest thing is that Sean Connery is the only Scottish person in the movie Highlander. Right? And he's the only person who's playing a Spanish guy. So everybody else is Scottish. Sean Connery plays a Spanish guy, and he has full-on Scottish accent the whole time.
Greetings. I am Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez, Chief Metallurgist to King Charles V of Spain, and I'm at your service.
So it kind of reminds me of that, Okay, here's a weird idea. Bruce Willis tribute G.I. Joe figure. Yeah, I love Bruce Willis. Poor Bruce Willis. He's going through some tough times here. That'd be kind of fun. He had played Joe Colton in the movie. And, eventually you got to have a Joe Colton figure. I think that is something that actually has to happen. You've got to have a Joe Colton figure. And you could go like traditional and have him have the beard, which probably makes more sense. Or give us the Bruce Willis one from Retaliation. Retaliation's not the worst. It's not the worst movie. It's the closest we got to an okay G.I. Joe live action movie. It's just okay. It's not great. It's literally just okay. And speaking of which, this is from Sabotage X88, who's got a great YouTube channel, by the way. I watch it. Check it out if you haven't seen it. And he says Joe Colton with a retro build. Yeah, interesting. Single jointed elbows and knees, head that only swivels horizontally, and realistic hair and beard. Yeah, maybe even soft, good clothing. Okay, I'd be down with that. That could be weird. But in the 6-inch, the beard thing is always weird and cool, and that could be fun. Here's a good one. Head swappable disguised Baroness, right? So you have Zartan is the master of disguise, but in 80s cartoons, Baroness was really the one who was always under disguise. A lot of times she was under disguise as a frumpy lady, right? So if you saw a frumpy lady in a G.I. Joe cartoon, you knew that was the Baroness in disguise, and she would, because there's no woman with anything over 4% body fat is anywhere allowed near a cartoon unless she's disguising a hot ass Baroness girl underneath, right? So that would be cool. She could just, because the fat suit, and she just rips her face off. So just, frumpy lady disguise or whatever. There's always disguise as something. Okay, this is another weird idea. The kids of G.I. Joe. Do a whole run of kids. Okay? And because there are actually a lot of children of the G.I. Joe figures. Destro has his son, Alexander McCullen, tries to usurp Destro's power, part of the Devil's Due continuity, I believe, and was pretty interesting. So Marissa Fairborn is the illegitimate child of Flint, turns out, and she is a part of the Transformers cartoon. She's somebody that showed up a lot, and I would definitely want her. Definitely want Billy Kessler. Okay, this is a cool idea. Old man shipwreck. Give him an eye patch. Make him more grizzled. Maybe have a hook hand. I don't know. I think that could be very cool. We need, I think the old man, they did give us Old Man Outback, right? They grayed his hair, they put a Tiger Force shirt on him, and it's one of my favorite figures of all time. An Old Man Shipwreck is great. I think their Shipwreck is one of those where they've underrated how much we love him. They've underused him all the time. Like, I think in everything other than the cartoon, he's the star of the cartoon. I think Buzz Dixon said he's his absolute favorite character, and that's why he used him so much, because he's really the one. He has the most character of anybody, and he is really, I think, on everybody's top 10, right? He's on your top 10, but he gets no show anywhere. He doesn't show up in any of the comics at all, doing anything significant ever. He is very few figures. He just, like, for some reason, completely underused. You know, recognize how much we love Shipwreck and give us more. Okay, here's a great one. Cobra La Bat. Yes, that is a weird idea. What would a Cobra La Bat do? What would it look like? I can't even imagine. But I'm into this idea. This would be cool. I think the whole idea of Cobra La now, if you read the Energon universe, you find out that Cobra La hates technology. They think it's like an affront, which I kind of like because it makes sense since everything in their world is organic. So would the bat be, I guess it would be made out of organic materials, would make some sense. It would be completely made up of crustaceans and, you know, weird animal and snakes and shit. That's a cool idea. Okay, another Shipwreck and Mara 2-pack. Yes, more Shipwreck. Definitely need Mara. So you got to get Mara in there, and that would be maybe a nice way of giving a Mara and then giving us, because we need her, and then giving us a Shipwreck, like a new alt Shipwreck. Whereas, like, I remember one of the 25th anniversary or something, he came with like a harpoon gun, like a big, massive harpoon gun. Maybe you could give him his actual, you know, weapon this time. So instead of doing retro Shipwreck, give us a 2-pack. I like that idea. Okay, and here we go. A Larry Hama figure. This is a weird idea. There's a precedent for this. Every other guy gets their figure. You know, George Lucas has had a figure. Yeah, Larry Hama in one of the movies. I think he's like a president, or he's some sort of general, right? Make him a general. General Hama. Put him in there as a tribute. Make him like an exclusive for a convention set to tribute Larry Hama. He deserves it. I think it would be very cool, and I would love that, as he is kind of like the father of the mythology here of G.I. Joe, or at least one of the major ones. Okay, so then we have this. This is a tweak on my concept of a pimp daddy baron. I call it pimp daddy baron, as somebody said, yeah, it's a pimp mommy. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so this is a little tweak on mine, which is probably a good idea. Pimp Mommy Baroness, but the base outfit is a full leopard print leather bodysuit, kind of like what Peggy Bundy from Married with Children occasionally sported. Plunging neckline, of course. Then crimson leather and fur trim. Someone must research Brazzers, then design her. Yeah, that's a good idea, I think. I can do that. I'm not going to research Brazzers. Okay, sports pack with Big Lob, the Fridge, Hardball, and Captain Gridiron. That's a kind of a fun idea. For me, I think I would put Hardball, make him major release, so you can have a 3-pack, because the 3-pack is a little bit more manageable. Because getting all those 3 goofy characters, those are 3 of the goofiest characters. Like, I think Big Lob is kind of good. Captain Gridiron is kind of fun, because he's got, you know, football grenades, but he's totally ridiculous. And then the Fridge. I'm not a Fridge fan. I don't like the Fridge. To me, that was a figure I got. I bought everything. I was a completionist as a kid, so I got the Fridge figure. And then when I had it, I was like, well, what am I going to do with this guy? He's got a football on a chain. He's going to get shot in 2 minutes, and the story's over. Okay, here's a weird idea. Maybe Zartan as an action icon line. He's a master of disguise. You give him different disguises as iconic villains like Hans Gruber, Agent Smith, the Terminator, John Spartan from Demolition Man. Okay, cool. This would be weird because they'll never do this. Like, I like the idea. It's kind of fun. They're not going to do it because they don't want to pay. They don't want to pay extra, so they're not going to pay the extra people. But it's fun. Okay, here's a weird one. Beach business deal Baroness and Destro. Black bikini for her and black Speedo or for him, okay? I think it'd be funny because you can see him in a black Speedo, and then he's still got his metal head, still got his little, necklace. That would be weird, but I don't see them making that one anytime soon. Yeah, we all want Baroness bikini. Everybody has a Baroness fetish. I've talked about it before. Everybody has a Baroness fetish. And how can you blame them? Okay, here's some good ideas here. We've got Desert Sergeant Slaughter in his Iraqi sympathizer getup. This is from like one of the, when he was playing a heel, I think, back in the day. He would do this. Okay, Brad Armbruster from Inhumanoids in his mech flight suit. So this is Ace. So Ace was, if you don't know that, Ace from G.I. Joe was also a character in Humanoids, the cartoon, and he get like a mech suit. So I don't know what happens. He leaves G.I. Joe. He goes and works for... Why don't they just scrap the Inhumanoids and they just send G.I. Joe to fight Decompose and the Inhumanoids? It makes a lot more sense if they live in the same universe. Because, what are you going to do? You get stupid little Inhumanoids, stupid suits. They're not going to do shit. Nuke those things. Send Rolling Thunder out and just nuke the ass out of the Inhumanoids. You're winner. Okay, this is a great idea. I want a Destro from Solstice Sacrifice. Destro in a robe, two other people in robes with animal masks, and a pit with tentacle monster with one eye. Of course, that is so awesome. And if Hasbro can't do that, then Super 7 has to. I mean, how awesome would that be? One of the most iconic moments. And then, you're probably going to give us Lady J in a little negligee, too, at that point. Okay, so this person brings up that I said, okay, Destro, Wolfhound. It shouldn't be an Irish. Wolfhounds are Irish. There are Scottish breeds, like a Highland Terrier, but that would not be good, okay? So, poor Scottish Terrier, what are you going to do with that? Who's it going to attack? But yeah, I know, the Irish, Scottish, I don't think they get along that well. I don't really know, but probably having Destro, he shouldn't have an Irish Wolfhound. He should have a Scottish dog. But a Scottish Terrier is not going to be very scary. Okay, Bikini Baroness with huge candy weapons. Yes, we all want that, of course. There is a guy, basically, though, I'm going to say, I'm a G.I. Joe Uncensored group. There is a guy who makes customs, and all he does is he makes customs of all women characters, and he puts giant tits on them. Not kidding. He just takes whatever character he can find, and all he does, he just ramps up the boobs. So they got E-cups. That's it. That's his thing. I love that we're all a bunch of perverts. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So you can probably get that right now, honestly. You can get those. Okay, now here we go. This might be probably my favorite idea here. A Dreadnought bat. Yes. Dreadnought bat. I mean, they've given us every kind of bat. Iron Grenadier bat, all kinds of bats. And there's been all kinds of bats in history, but a Dreadnought bat has not existed yet, and that is an awesome idea because it completely makes sense. It actually makes sense. These guys are motorheads. They would tinker, right? I 100% can imagine like Torch grabbing a dumb bat and kind of loving it, and but if you're gonna do a Dreadnought bat, you got to do it up. It can't just be a repaint. It's got to be a complete, it should be wearing jeans, it should be wearing Monkey Wrench's jeans with maybe a rip, and you can see the metal coming through, and a Dreadnought t-shirt that's torn, and then under you can see the lenticular thing, or you can see it's circuitry, and then you got to give it Dreadnought weapons. So it's got to have maybe the face could be the Dreadnought symbol, and then give it you'd have to have a buzzer chainsaw arm, and then maybe a ripper saw blade machine gun, and and then a flame. It should just be that was an awesome idea. Dreadnought bat, I love it. My absolute favorite, must have out of the list. If it doesn't exist, somebody make a custom Dreadnought bat, please. Maybe Figurehead, somebody out there, make a custom Dreadnought bat. That's a great idea. Those are your weird ideas from the comments of that video. And if you want to check out some more discussion of G.I. Joe Classified, check out this video right here.